Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and we are just a couple weeks away from the release of our new set in One Piece. It's going to be set 3, Pillars of Strength, but also has the new Yellow Star deck, Big Mom Pirates, which is including just our new color in the game, Yellow, which is, I think, the last color that they're confirming that's going to be in this card game, at least right now. But really, really interesting kind of mechanics that this color has, and we're going to go over the Star deck in general. We're going to talk about all the cards in it, and then at the end, we're going to have an example deck list with just has all the cards that you get from the Star deck, as well as an updated one based off some cards from Pillars of Strength as well. So let's just jump on into it. I'm actually really excited to kind of go over this deck in general. So we have our leader here. It's Charlotte Lin. It is a yellow leader. It has 5 life and is 5k, so pretty standard. And then it has a Dawn ×2 when attacking. You may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life to your hand. If your life is at 2 or less, you may place up to 1 card from your hand at the top of your life area. So it can be like a draw, like we've seen it with Newgate, where you can use your life as a resource to draw cards and get early advantage from that. But being able to put cards back on top of your life, it's a net zero on how much cards are going to be in your life. As you can't gain life with this effect, but what you're able to do is you're able to put cards specifically at the top of your life, and then since there are triggers in this card game that are really valuable, you're able to kind of use that. So I think that's honestly really strong for this as a color identity and just the mechanics for this deck. And there's a lot of ways to use these abilities and kind of set up like the perfect life for your opponent to have a hard time to interact with. So that's the idea for this leader. I do also want to talk about real quick the other yellow leaders that we're getting in Pillars of Strength. So we have another Charlotte Lin. It's going to be yellow and black. We have Charlotte Katakuri, which is honestly probably the best leader for yellow, I think, generically right now. And also Arlong, which is really interesting, but he's been really kind of hard to work with. So if you guys want me to do any deck profiles for any of these, let me know. I'm looking mostly at the Charlotte Lin, the yellow-black one, because it does look like it has some interesting interaction. You do get to use it's when attacking, so Dawn ×2, and then also pay 2. So that's 4 Dawn investment, but you may trash 1 card from your hand. If you have 1 or less cards in your life area, you can place up to 1 card from the top of your deck at the top of your life area. So that deck does get to heal. It's a little bit costly to do that, and there are conditions for it, but that's something that's kind of unique to this leader. Katakuri can just be a 7k a lot and set up either your opponent's or your own life. And then Arlong gets to play cards for free, which is nice, but it's from your hand. And I think this is a leader that can get better, but only when you get more cards with that can fit its trigger effect of when play up to 1 character the cost of 4 or less with trigger from your hand, which is a little rough from that being from your hand, but it can be a little bit cheaper and you get some pressure off a 7k swing. But we'll go there later if you guys want to see a deck profile with it. Anyways, going into the super rares from this set, or from the Star deck, we get 2 of them, and we get 2 of each of them. So we have the Charlotte Katakuri here. So on play, it's a 4/6k, but also on play, look at the top card of your opponent's life area and put it either on top or bottom of the life area, so you get to know that knowledge. Then if you have less life cards than your opponent, this character gains Rush, which is really nice. So obviously Rush is kind of a pretty coveted keyword. I think a lot of the cards, most decks don't have access to Rush, and they really wish they did. So it is a little bit conditional for that, and it might be like it's really hard for you to use this for like your last attack for game because of how the mechanic works, because you have to have less life than your opponent. But you could also sequence it so where you play it when you're at less life, and then you start attack with cards on the board, and then it can attack for game. So that's something that could be possible for this card there too. So not too bad. I think it's helpful for some removals, and also the top deck or top of life mechanic is nice too. We also have the 7 cost Charlotte Lin. It's an 8k, and it has an on play. Your opponent chooses one of the following effects: trash 1 card from the top of your opponent's life area, or put 1 card from the top of your deck on top of your own life area. So this is you. So either you get to heal 1, or you get to do 1 damage to your opponent. Obviously, it'd be a lot stronger if you get to choose what the effect is, but I think it is pretty good there. And still, like a 7 drop 8k means it's a little bit tricky to get this card removed, and I think this is a pretty solid card for not only this deck, but for yellow in general. So I think the Star decks for this one is probably one of the better ones we've had in a bit, and will offer some pretty good. At least the super rares are staples, but we're going to look at the rest of the cards too. So the other 2 of, so these are cards that you only get 2 copies of in this. We have Charlotte Brûlée, which I think is like the best generic one for this. It's just a 3-drop 1k. It has a counter, and also it's just a blocker, but it has trigger. You get to play this card, which is just really strong in the fact that I've had some games where testing, and like this card just wins because wins me the game because they're trying to attack for game. I get one more blocker because of it, and they just can't out it, and it's really obnoxious. So it's a really strong card and can help you out a lot. We also have Charlotte Mondor, which is not the best. I don't know. I haven't liked this card as much, but it's an activate main. You may rest this character and add the top or bottom card of your life area to your hand. KO up to one of your opponent's characters at a cost of 3 or less. So it's a KO, but it's kind of expensive to do so. Honestly, I feel like this would be like a counter 2K maybe, but it's not. But also trigger, you may trash one card from your hand to play this card, which is okay, but I'm not sold on this card as much. We also have Charlotte Daifuku, which is pretty good. I think this is a pretty solid card for yellow in general. Dawn times 1 when attacking, you may add one card from the top of your bottom of your life to your hand. Place up to one card from the top of your deck at the top of your life area. So you're essentially drawing one. You're cycling through your life, and then you're drawing and putting a card from the top of your deck there. So I think that's pretty solid. Card draw is pretty coveted in this card game, and there's really no like downside for this card, right? It's a 6K when attacking with the Dawn times 1. It's a 1K counter, and I feel like it's a very solid card in general. So do like that as well. And then also we have Power Mochi as one of our event cards. It's just a one cost counter. Look at the top card of your or your opponent's life area, place it at the top or bottom of their life area, then up to one of your cards get plus 2K, and then it has also the trigger effect of draw one, then look at the top one of your opponent's life area and place it at the top or bottom. So being able to get some cycle there, or being able to potentially just see what the cards are is a little helpful. It's just okay. I wouldn't say this one's like absurdly powerful, but is an okay one drop or one cost 2K. And then also we have the Queen Mama Chanter. So this is the boat here, so the stage, sorry. So activate main, rest of the stage. You may add one card from the top or bottom of your life to your hand. Then you place up to one of your characters the cost of 3 on top of the owner's life area face up. So this one's okay. There's obviously a lot of cost 3 cards that are good, like Brule and Mondor, but they're not. I don't think it's worth the cost as it is right now. Maybe it will change in the future, but I don't think this is super good for the archetype. It might just be a little bit expensive for what it is, but maybe I could be wrong there too. So obviously, it can be good in the fact that you can play stuff for cheaper and play it off your life, but that also just means you're trading cards in your life for tempo, and most of these 3 costs also you have to trash a card from your hand to do it. So anyways, that is all the rest of the 2 ofs that we get in this deck, and then we do get a bunch of skillless cards in there, so I'm not going to really mention them as much here, but here are the other 4 ofs that we get in this deck too. So we get Charlotte Pudding, which is a 2K counter, which is most of the reason you want this card. The on play, look at the top card from your life of either your opponent, and you get to keep it there or not. So most of the time I'd never play this card. It'd just be a 2K counter in hand. We also have Zeus and Prometheus. These are interesting ones. So they're both 3 cost 3Ks. They both get to trigger to play the card for free. And then activate main, you may choose one of your Charlotte Linlens and gain banish for the turn, or double attack for the Prometheus. So I think double attack is probably the better one of them. Banish is better for like the being able to bypass the trigger with banish is kind of nice, especially like in a mirror match or something. But I think being able to do 2 checks is probably a little bit better in this card game. So, but I think both are okay for. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if people are running these or not as much. I haven't. It's been either they are or they're not. They're not constant staples, I feel. They're also Charlotte Snack, which I think is not super great. It's a 5 cost 6K. Dawn times 1 when attacking, you may add the top or bottom card for your life to get this. Make it a 7K and have banish. So I guess 8K with the Dawn times 1. So it's all right. It's you don't get to play this for free. There's no trigger associated with it. There's also no counter cost with it. So it's fine. I don't think it's super impactful, but it's something that you get for this one. And then there's Soul Pocus, which I think this is also maybe a decisive card if people like it or not. I think it's good specifically in this leader and not as many of the other leaders, since you can choose to put it in your life easier with the starter deck leader. But main, it's the same as the 7 drop, where your opponent chooses one of the following effects. They get to trash one card from the top of their own life area, or they get to give you 1 card back into your life. And then the triggers activate the main effect. So if this is something you can consistently put at the top of your deck or top of your life and make it so your opponent has to use the effect to either heal you back and like get over the damage they just did to you, or put themselves closer to losing, I think it's something that could be strong. So I think it's okay. It might not be, but I think it's moderately. It's an interesting card. Now I don't think it's really good against like aggro decks, but like more like mid-range control decks, it can be good there too. So, anyways, those are all the cards that we get in there, and let's go over the deck lists. And again, here is the deck list that you get out of the box. So with all the good ratios and everything. So if you guys want that, here's this deck list. It's in the description as well if you guys just want the link to it. But then here is the list that I've been running a little bit with. So using some cards from set 3 to kind of boost it up. And some interesting cards and kind of some good staple cards for this deck in general are like the Charlotte Pudding, the 1-drop that lets you search top 4 for your cards is really good there. So adds a big Mom Pirate besides itself are a Sanji, which means it finds a 2k counter off this Sanji, which is great. I think this card's really good in that way. And then also, this is essentially the same effect as Daifuku. So if you don't have anything better to do turn 2, you can play this and then put some pressure and get a card draw later. So I think that's pretty good there. There's also Pero Sparrow. This is a 3.5k. It has a on KO. You can look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 big Mom Pirate type part of it, and return the rest. And then also has the trigger to discard a card from your hand. You get to play this. So this one's pretty obnoxious. It gets some good value, and I think it's one of the stronger cards for yellow in this archetype too. It is a super rare too, which is probably part of the reason it's pretty strong. So there's that. We have Charlotte Cracker, which is just a card you get to play for free, more or less, since you get to, and it gets double attack if you need to. Daifuku running a couple copies, Katakuri we are too, and then we also have the there's the 8-drop. This is a secret rare, so on play put up to 1 character that costs 8 or less on top or bottom of its owner's life area face up. So being able to use that means that you can get some removal at the cost of either you get to heal 1 with one of your cards that you don't need around anymore, or you can get rid of something your opponent's really obnoxious on the other side of the board. Best card is obviously like Sirahoshi to be able to use this. If you play it for free off your trigger, and then which is draw 3, discard 2, which is pretty good. And then later, if you don't need it, you can use Charlotte Katakuri to put it back, so you get to heal, and then you get another cycle next turn, or at least the next time your opponent hits you with this, which is great. And then there's the 10-drop, the Charlotte Linlin. This card is really good. It's really obnoxious. It's a 10-drop 12k. On play, if your leader has the Big Mom Pirates type, place up to 1 card from the top of your deck at the top or bottom of your life, then trash up to 1 card from the top of your opponent's life. So being able to get that swing, being able to get the heal is really good. And most of the time, like, you're worried about playing a 10 cost because it just means you don't have any more Dawn for anything else. But in this deck, I think it's moderately okay to do so. You get a lot of value from it, and it's very, very strong. So, and then lastly, we do have a couple extra event cards. So we have a Sovereignty, which is a 2 cost plus 5k, which is great. And it also has the counter to discard 2 to add 1 card from the top of your deck to your life, which can help you there too if you just have dead cards. And then also Thunderbolt, KO up to, you can trash your life to KO up to one of your opponent's characters at the cost of 5 or less, but also trigger KO up to one of your opponent's characters at the cost of 5 or less. So without having to get the discard. So it's really good, honestly, as a trigger. It's a little costly sometimes for the actual event cost, but being able to get rid of a blocker when you really need to, and only doing for 2 to then swing from game afterwards, I think is worth it as well. So maybe bump up to 3, but I think it's a solid card. And this is my deck. Obviously, it's pretty early in this meta for me. A lot of testing I still have to do, but I think it's a solid deck to get anyone into kind of the idea for this. It leaves with Charlotte Linlin and just kind of an upgrade for the starter deck. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys want me to make some other yellow decks with some of the other leaders that I mentioned earlier, let me know. I'm really down to testing yellow in this format too. I think Katakuri again is probably the strongest one generically, but I think all of them can have their benefits. Maybe not Arlong. I'm not sold on that guy yet, but maybe I'm wrong on that one. But anyways, that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.